Hello, welcome back to the pod. Um, I'm trying to look a bit cuter in my pods, so today I'm wearing an oversized shirt with a little tank underneath, trying to not just wear my gym gear in every single podcast that I make. But honestly, if you're listening to this and not watching, it does not make a difference to you. All right, so today I wanted to talk about a my view on a recent trend that's been, trending. Wow, what a use of words. But this is all about the whole terminology of delulu. Um, so my topic today is it better to be delulu or not? When this terminology first surfaced, I really didn't buy into it much. I was like, oh, it's such a trend, like I guess it's just a new terminology. And I didn't really think much of it. I just thought, oh, another trend, not very relatable, whatever. I thought some of the content was kind of funny, and it was just like a new lingo. But really, I feel like it's here to stay, delulu. It's here to stay, but also it's a very cute play on words. But what delulu made me realize is, firstly, what it made me realize, honestly, is that I am starting to feel a generational gap. I am a millennial, sometimes tittering on a zillennial. I definitely wouldn't say I understand Gen Zs completely, but there's like a certain subset of Gen Zs that I understand, is what I would say, because I'm a 95 baby, so I think the crossover is like 98. But yeah, I would like to say I'm a few years off that. So I would tinter into zillennial, but definitely not be a Gen Z. Would not represent that generation. I did realize, though, when this whole delulu kind of phenomenon came up, was that maybe I'm a bit of a millennial, because my initial thought was like, oh, just another random trending word that I have no idea what it means, and like I just thought it was a bit silly. But then, after thinking about it recently, I've decided that actually delulu is very relatable, and also I've realized that there is so much. There's so many parallels, I would say, between different generations and the way they think. It's just what terminology we put to describe it, and how we kind of validate those feelings that we're having. So the reason that I've suddenly had this epiphany where delulu is a relatable trend for me is thinking about how I break it down. So I was thinking about a way that I would kind of understand delulu, and it kind of clicked the other day so something that I often think about in my millennial generation, oh my God, I sound like a grandma. Why am I making myself sound like a grandma? Anyway, is that I often think about like confidence, and I guess the different spectrums of confidence that you can have. So being overconfident, being really lacking confidence, and there are people sit on like this spectrum like in a wide variety of ways, and not always consistent like throughout their lives. I think there's different things that people are like super confident about, and some people aren't. And then there are some people who are like absolutely confident about everything, and some people who have no confidence in themselves whatsoever in any part of their lives. But I think confidence is a really big thing that maybe my generation and older relate to. And I think now this delulu trend is kind of just actually a rebranding of confidence, and it's just like it's an expression of confidence is what I would say. So before we get into that section of it, I want to talk about confidence. So for me, I think I've always had this thought of, not always, I think I've had this thought over the last like 3 years. It's like, oh, is it better to be overly confident or be like a little bit more understated and like less confident and more like reserved, yeah. And honestly, for me, the answer is very clear cut of being overly confident, because I just think that I do think that being overconfident generally underline bold, gets you further in life. I do think that obviously there's a spectrum on either end where it can be really crippling for a person. But I think from people I've met and the interactions I've had with people, I do think that being overly confident is a positive thing and will get you further in life. Areas that I've seen people really struggle with confidence is definitely like, I mean, in every aspect of life, like getting a date, talking to someone, ordering food, making a decision, getting a job, getting into a new hobby, having the confidence to like share their opinion. I think people definitely tend to count themselves out before they even try sometimes, which is sad to see. I have some friends who are so capable, super intelligent, but their confidence is, I wouldn't say it's like super crippling, but it definitely limits them. And when I say like a lack of confidence, I don't mean like you have no confidence at all and you're just like putting yourself down all the time. But I think it's more that you have a lack of confidence that hinders your ability to just say yes to things or to move faster in life on some things. I think a lot of people sit around kind of thinking so much about how they're not good enough for something and not having the confidence to just stand up and be like, you know what, I'm just going to try it. Have the confidence to like fail, essentially. So from observing this in people, I've always wondered, like, thought about, would I want my child to be like overly confident? I'd rather like hype them up and make them feel like, you know, they can do anything, that they're super smart, even if it's not true to their character. But then when I think about that, I'm like, but then you can like create a monster sometimes, or somebody who's like super not self-aware or just has no like humility for other people or even just like themselves. So I don't know, it's a very fine line, but I do still think overall I'd want my child to be on the more overconfident side. But my overconfident preference is like overconfident, but not like that they're okay to fail and not have shame in that sense, or a limited amount of shame. I think it's hard to have like no shame at all. And so I think this is where delulu comes into play, is because actually I think a certain state of delulu is a good place to be in terms of confidence. And this is like a whack-ass way of thinking about it. I don't know if you guys feel like that, but I think the way that I've come like to this is a very roundabout way. But I do think that when you think about the spectrum and you're like, oh, I don't want someone to be like too overly confident or like really lack confidence. You want them to be in like a space where they're confident enough to go after what they want, but also have the self-awareness that of where they are and who they are and like their capabilities. Okay, so why I support the delulu trend, and I guess why I support the delulu being the solulu, just to be, you know, trendy on this terminology, is for a few reasons. I think one, delulu is a good middle ground for confidence. As I said, like having a level of self-awareness, I think is a requirement to the idea of being delulu, because it's like the awareness that you are delusional, like somewhat delusional, but you're kind of just rolling with it. So that means you have an awareness of like your current state and where you are, but you're kind of ignoring that. It's an active choice is what I view it as. I think that the state of delulu is also not permanent. So it's not like you're like permanently delulu in all things. I mean, for me anyway. And then I feel that it's a mode that you engage from time to time. So that's how I see delulu. I don't see it as like, I don't think it's positive in a permanent state, but I think it's positive in a feature that you plug, like a turn on and off situation, you know? It's a feature that you can activate. So I think if you are able to engage that mode from time to time, it would serve its purpose really, really well for you. For me, how I relate to this is, the best way I would describe this is like, for me, I always would say that when I am nervous to do something or I feel really uncomfortable, people are like to me, oh, like how do you build the courage to do that? Don't you feel uncomfortable? I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I do. But through practice, the more I've done it, the more comfortable I've gotten. But what I channel when I feel really anxious is my alter ego. I don't even know what my alter ego is called, but I just know she's in me, and she helps me just get through times when I'm feeling very self-conscious, or I doubt myself a lot, or it's just something that where it's so out of my comfort zone. It's like Beyonce said, it's Sasha Fierce for her. For me, I just channel my Sasha Fierce. I haven't named her. I probably should think about doing that, but I think she comes out in different ways when I really need her. So that's where I feel like delulu comes in, because it's pretty much, I don't know, I feel like it's an outlet for people to channel their Sasha Fierce to face the world and things that they're really nervous about doing. I think also the reason why I support delulu is because when you think about it, I do think in a way being delulu, or this trend of it, is actually a space where you can go to gain back control of your life. I think that the world nowadays is getting a lot more oppressive in what you can say, what you can do, who you are, profiling people to, you know, their race, their heritage, their personality types. Like, everybody's doing a damn personality test nowadays to figure out who they are, and boxing themselves into these terminologies to define themselves, which I don't really understand. Like, why are people so hot at that? I honestly don't know what my Myers-Briggs is. People ask me, or what your MBT or MBTI or whatever it is. Anyway, I don't even know what they mean, but some people are like obsessed and they know like every definition, and like, oh, you're this person. Oh, that means that you're X, blah, 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 blah. But I just think it helps people. I think for the person who's giving the label, it helps them understand a person better. And I think the person who uses the label for themselves, it's just a way for them, I guess, to find a sense of belonging and a sense of identity. But honestly, I mean, great to know what you kind of relate to, but I feel people attach themselves too strongly to these personality tests or these traits that they have, and then feel like, oh, I'm so out of character, like I'm an introvert, but now I'm suddenly being an extrovert. I'm like, hello people, you're a human, you evolve, you change over time. Why would you just like, you're not going to permanently always be an introvert or an extrovert. Anyway, that doesn't make sense to me. Do not support those personality tests, just FYI. I don't support them in a way of like being so attached to them and living your life by them, but I support in if you want to know yourself a bit better and you're doing self-discovery. But have a healthy relationship with them, people. Okay, so back to what I was saying is, because we're in this like society that's like very oppressive, and you know, it's all these people telling you who you are, what you do. I do think delulu is an opportunity to kind of like take back control and be like, okay, you know what? They say that personality trait test says that I'm an introvert, but I am going to be delulu and like channel that little like extra confidence and go out there and go ask a guy for his number, ask a girl for their number, like whoever it is that you love. Do things like out of character. Oh, I'm going to play a sport I've never played. I'm going to read this book. I'm going to wear this outfit. Like it's I feel like that's where delulu is actually empowering people, is by allowing you to unlock this idealistic side of you, of who you want to be and what you think you want to do or you're actually interested in, and going after that. I think it's great, because I'm always preaching, I swear, in my podcast about like, do things that's outside of your box, like do things that makes you uncomfortable. You can do it, guys. And I actually realized that delulu kind of lives into that. Delulu kind of lives into that mantra, which is great. So that's why I've also decided that I support delulu life. For me, a personal example is I've had a side project for like a year and a half, 2 years now, since I incepted the idea, and I was doing super well at it. I feel like I was super confident, headstrong, like got all like the nitty-gritty work done, got the thing designed and made, manufactured, and then I hit this like place where I only had like 20% left to, and I've kind of felt like, yeah, I've definitely buckled to fear and this space of lack of confidence. And it comes from like, oh, what if like people don't like the product? What if it doesn't do as well as it could? What if it doesn't live up to what I want? And I'm worrying about all these things that are really essentially out of my control for the most part. There are certain aspects I can try and control, but if someone doesn't like it, they don't like it, right? But I've been crippled the last 6 months, although I have been going through a lot of change in my life and admin, but I still have been crippled by this lack of confidence that's given me this excuse to just procrastinate and avoid really executing on what I want to do. And so I haven't been seeing this project through, which I have made a promise to my friend the other night that I will do it. But I do think that this fear that I have and this lack of confidence really needs to be combated in this situation with a bit of delulu-ness. And when I say delulu-ness, I mean just like my overly confident side. My Sasha Fierce needs to come out and just say like, hey girl, get it done, finish it, do it for you, and move on so that you can like, get the work done and get it out there. What's the point of just sitting on it and umming and ahhing and not getting it done? So I think in this situation, I really need to just like take a big old gulp of my own medicine and all my preachings and just get it done. So what I would like to just conclude with is that I think that there is a great power in the delulu skill. I actually genuinely think it's a skill set. You guys might think that I'm trolling you, but I'm so serious about this. I just think delulu is a label for the perfect middle ground of confidence, and self-awareness that you need to really kick yourself into gear sometimes. So I would just call it like delulu is you being your own hype person, your own person to like bet on yourself that yes, you can do this, you can be that, you can be whoever you want. If you don't believe in the word delulu, I think just like honestly, it's about activating your overly confident self and your Sasha Fierce to just be the person in your corner backing you. That's how I would define it. So yeah, that's like this journey that I've had with this word delulu, this trend delulu, this word. I hope it stays around, and I hope that it does continue to embody what I believe it embodies. I think that's very dependent on myself anyway. I'm sure a lot of other people have a different perception of delulu, but that's what I would like it to see it surface and continue to be. I think so far I've seen it be that sort of tool and outlet for people on the internet. So I really hope it continues to be that, because we all need a little bit of that delulu sprinkle and glitter in our lives so that we can face the things that we're nervous to do, face the things that we don't want to do, be the person we really want to be, and do the hard things in life. Anyway, thank you for listening to my delulu spiel. See you guys in the next podcast. Bye.